Alright. It's been a little while, but episode 2 of Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. So we're on night 2. Oh, I'm still waking up a little bit. I need to get some coffee in me, but finally have the house to myself for a little bit so I can actually stream. And we left off going to sleep in the new place, and now our adoptive master is in. So let's just go over some stuff quick. Camarilla is one sect, I should say. We are a fledgling. The prince is the person. I'm gonna say it's a chick. That was definitely a chick. Hunger, vessel. The beast is our inner. Vampiric rage. OG vampire. Kindred. First species. Masquerade is the idea that we don't exist to the universe. Traditions, okay. I pulled the Masquerade. Respect one another's dominions while inside. Only sire with permission from the elder. Creations and hospitality. Cool. Kind is people, regular people. Sire Elysium is a meeting place. The sheriff is a cool guy. Alright. What was this? Oh yeah, our whole log. Okay. You are hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way you slick your thirst. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. Right. She's going to show us how to do it. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage. So let me get this straight. We are predators. Humans are prey. That's pretty grim. I know what you feel. I remember the notion. But you will, inevitably, grow beyond it. You need blood to thrive, but there are many ways to take it, some more humane than others. You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there is a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the... The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation. But, if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding. After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct? She gives you a sly, knowing smile. That is why the masquerade is important, and even more crucial when you feed. How do you avoid being seen when feeding? You isolate your prey, or you choose the right circumstances. People tend to avert their gaze when they see a couple intertwined in public. Love bites are easy to explain away. Some of us keep willing herds, or even just individual kind who desire the kiss. That comes at higher risk these nights, though. so I would not recommend it to a young kid drinking like yourself. Oh, got a new dictionary term. Domains. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out, you risk the ire of other kindred whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, New York City is more forgiving in this regard. Yes, act of drinking blood, embrace, transforming into a vampire, and domain, which is exactly what it sounds like. The territories. New York is in somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us. The busy streets fill the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. Sorry, I'm feeling very dyslexic. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. She's just eyeing us up through the mirror. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline. You're right, I forgot her name. Herself's Brenda. Come, Brenda. Park the car, Gregory, will you? The driver stalls, so gets out. You join her, and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. A nicer building. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take in the few dozen chairs in front of you. The concert seemingly concluded. The patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to prepare you for a willing... Oh, my eyes are going... not quite as fast as my mouth is. Sorry about that. I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now let's see here. Ah, there he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly, even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How's your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl, come over here, please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet. The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd. Julie, this is Brendo. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nods to her balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. This is Julie. Okay. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, you know. She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip. Then looks to you, embarrassed, but also hopeful. Oh, so she's addicted to the nick, the little bite. Into that sort of thing. I mean, can she? I don't know. We can't really talk. I think it's pretty clear I know what she's talking about. Yes. Yes, I do. She takes off her jacket, unbuttons her sleeve, then rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit. One feline eye looking at you. Oh yeah, there it is. There. Just enjoy. A perfectly awkward smile and a blush. Do it. You take her forearm in your hands. A quick look around confirms nobody's watching. No security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She's just giving you her blood of her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. Your thoughts disappear in your voice. There's just a taste. Sweet. Fresh. Sanguine. You drink. And drink. And drink. No. Stop. 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 You tear away from the girl harder than you wanted. Still, the bite leaves just tiny punctures. Almost as if by instinct, you lick them clean, and the two holes become concealed, just like that. Julie is now leaning on the wall, pale, wobbly on her feet, but happy. She lets out a dreamy sigh, opens her eyes. A few tears fall onto her shirt, tears of joy. Thank you. Please, can you walk me downstairs? Please? My dad, he doesn't know. Thinks it's a condition. Miss Langley told me so. She leans on you and requests you walk her over to a bench. She takes a seat and smiles at you. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly. Looking at her now, only seeing some residual awes hang in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her. Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Judy my best wishes. Come with me, Brenda. Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you. I can tell from your look that you took the opportunity. Good for you. That girl's exquisite, don't you think? You wouldn't tell by her demeanor. She has so much passion. Brings out a unique bouquet in her blood. This feels all wrong. I feel like I violated her. Like I took advantage of her. Oh, please, spare me the dramatics. I'm sure she is happy sharing herself. She's such a sheltered girl. Let her have fun from time to time. Time for the next stop. Training wheel is off this time. Gregory, Flushing Meadows, please. driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. Those people back at the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction. That old trick? Just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people and make them fear me. I see more of the world in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace, and more. All of these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt. Okay, so what are my talents? Time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. Only arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instinct and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It's all fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, and save those overt talents for the right place and time. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. And you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find the parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight. The stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city. I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go, look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out the prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby. In worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis courts nearby. There's light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing a late-night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. Well, let's go around the park. You start walking. The park's many avenues must hold a good spot or two for a predator like yourself. You pass 2 soccer fields and circle around where the Fountain of the Planets. Oh, once a web visitor is a good spectacle before coming across an opportunity. A woman, a small duffel bag on her arm, is making her way through the park in a hurry. She doesn't seem to have noticed you yet. So, we could be very assaulty, or we can... I don't know what that symbol's meant to be, but let's use presence. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you. A single person could be doable. For a moment, you're thinking how an old guy in a hood should appear over your shoulder saying, "Use the force, Brendo." It feels ridiculous. But then something stirs within you. There's a confidence there, an allure that you might have had before, but one that's increased manifold in this moment. Catch the woman's eye. She flashes an unsure smile, almost in spite of herself as she passes by you. She's tense, gripping her bag close but attentive. Her eyes lock onto yours. A slight smile is there again. Yeah, she looks like she's ready to kick my ass. Yes. What is it? Almost intuitively, you close the distance between you. She can't look away. She's unprepared for what follows. In a swift move, you grab her and bite down. Her surprise resonates in her blood. Hot, excited, fast-flowing. She tenses up and relaxes. The duffel bag hits the ground. Bliss. Footsteps. Let go of her. She drops to the ground, barely conscious. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. Oh, yeah, he's a vamp. What do you think you're doing? Barging in on my turf like this, lick? Derogatory term, usually used to address the young, unexperienced vampires. This guy's an old-timer. Do we get cocky? We haven't been especially cocky so far. But we're also not especially submissive, so maybe we should go with this. What did you call me? A lick? What is that supposed to mean? Don't be cute with me. I know what you are. Shove that masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you. I came here with Sophie Langley. She's my patron. Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy, though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you voraciously. Nervous tick or an attempt at intimidation? I wonder, what would Callahan do to you if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins? Leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Concrete shoes, maybe. He's old school like that. Now let's beat the shit out of this guy. We're gonna lose. But you decide the time for talking is over. You rush him and throw him off balance, landing on the ground. He's fast but weak. The brawl takes a bit out of both of you. Suddenly, you hear heavy footsteps closing in, and the thug is snatched from over you. He hits a tree, hard, and before he can recover, a sharp piece of wood pierces his chest. It's Gregory, Sophie's driver, who deals the blow. The hoodlum is rendered inert. His eyes remain open, but he does not move. He does not protest when Gregory puts him over his shoulder. I thought Gregory was a lot older. Miss Langley is waiting for us. Come before your snack wakes up. He points to your victim, who is just coming to and gives you a somewhat snarky smile, then breaks into a swift walk towards the Unisphere. How did you get here this fast? I was watching you from afar. Miss Langley asked me to look out for you. She suspected you get into trouble. Words are just hard today. I'm so sorry. He seems to realize he might have said too much and just keeps walking, somewhat embarrassed. You reach the Unisphere together, the hoodlum in tow. Two figures are visible mid-sculpture, a man and a woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie, feeding. But this whole scene is set up so that it looks like a pair getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. She nods to Gregory as you approach. What do we have here? Did this kindred give you trouble, Brenda? Well, she knows all about this Callahan fellow. He said something about presenting me to someone named Callahan. Never heard of him. She looks shocked for a split second, then recovers her regular countenance. Yes, I have. This hoodlum is Anarch, then. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred, last I checked. The vampire sect that opposes the tyranny of elders and has placed itself outside the secret society of the Camarilla. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Kier tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this unbound acquaintance. I'm having a stroke. Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him in the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with that, just casually throwing a stiff in your car and driving away. Then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Still, the nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice. I will pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend at the Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Kadir and the Prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. Social system of the city's kindred, resembling the feudal system of mortals. Top of the Prince, below them the members of the Primogen Council. Order in the domain is maintained by a sheriff. Gatherings are organized in secret sanctuaries known as Elysiums. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. What's going to happen to him? The usual, I imagine. Interrogation by Kadir, probably in the basement of the gallery. A quick trial with the Prince in attendance if she's there tomorrow night. A swift execution is the verdict. This all sounds eerily familiar to you, and you can't help but feel a pang of guilt when you think about what awaits this guy tomorrow night. You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope. I think I am, yeah. I'll cope. I'm glad. She doesn't question you further. She seems distracted, not all there. Thoughts drift and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment. We will pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory, with the body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past, unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. Haven is a vampire's home or base where they find sanctuary from the sun. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time you turn the light off. You think back to Julie. How many people in the city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. Alright, and now we can rest again. The beast. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here, the blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh, right, the light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand. The Melancholy of Resistance. The title's sure on brand. Good evening, Brenda. I like her so far, but I don't trust her for shit, and, yeah. How did you get inside the apartment? After a long and spirited battle, I managed to defeat the lock. She produces a keychain with a facetted emerald at the end and jingles it in the air with a wry smile. It's my apartment, remember? Come, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium would be called again tonight on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. She keeps talking to you as you walk downstairs and get in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile when opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there, at least those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities you do well to at least learn about. Primogen Council is... Primogen Council represents the interests of the local kindred and advises the prince on matters of law and rule. Traditionally, it consists of representatives from each of the most prominent clans or factions in the domain, naturally favoring those in the Camarilla, though outsiders are allowed to report any issues to a Primogen not of their own clan. Primogen are often elders, but despite the term Primogen from Latin means the firstborn, there are no rules in place that this is how it must be. In fact, during the last few decades, more and more councils have seen drastic changes to their structure. See. Anyone I should talk to when we arrive? Not especially. My advice would be to try and talk to the prince and perhaps reassure her of your gratefulness for being spared. Maybe speak to Kadir on the same topic if you get a hold of him. The Primogen I would advise against. They are rather stuck-up, all told, and even if they will talk to you, they might try to secure you for some nefarious purpose. I wouldn't appreciate that. Of course, be respectful if anybody approaches you and strikes up a conversation. You'll no doubt be gossiped about, as will I. Keep a cool head. Some enjoy provoking legends and stupid eyes. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you. She might be protecting and teaching you. But it is clear what she's really concerned about. Her own interests. You step into the art hole. Something of a bad memory. Last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down in your existence. But tonight, there's very little outward hostility. Yes, Kabir gives you a look that's definitely intended to remind you of your place. But the prince, also in attendance, seemed pleased to see you. She looks very French. Welcome, Sophie. Brendo, did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there's somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. And then we'll continue. Alright. Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently. So the prince's son, by the way. The prince gives Kabir a cold glance. Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He's in a particularly foul mood tonight. Something to do with Brendo's begetter eluding his grasp, I believe. Ouch. That must have hurt his ego, even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you come back to all the talk of eschewing societal norms and this disillusionment, the status quo you enjoyed back in the club. Look at you now, relieved, agreeable. She likely wouldn't be too happy with this whole setup. Prince, court, hierarchy, titles, but hey, she's gone. Probably forever. If you ever break out of this, it'll be on your own. The flaring up of whispers in the gallery hall breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad inner vampire still stuck on his shoulder. The show is about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room. He nods respectfully to the ear. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life, and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he balks out on all fours, keeps going in circles until he realizes he's trapped. Kadir steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Why? Who do we have here? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. No. Come on, don't. I keep changing the voice I give him, but that's alright. Silence. The sheriff takes on an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature. He's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks. You could swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a field and she'll start crying. The hat just makes me think super redneck. No. No, please, don't hurt me, man, don't. You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs at the prince's discretion. Please, go ahead, my sheriff. You heard the prince. Get up. Let's go. He doesn't have to wait for a confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, kicking and screaming out of the room. Conversations start all around you. Some whispers, some polite overt. Sophie looks somewhat bored from the affair, her eyes wandering from arguments to arguments, clearly finding nothing for her particular liking. For how cultured you all seem, torturing somebody in an art gallery doesn't seem to faze you. Oh please, do keep your naivety to yourself. Power and violence have always been two sides of the same coin. Most of us here are far too old to bother with keeping up appearances. Excuse me. Sophie leaves your side and goes to a corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty and fashion gathered. Concierge offers you a drink. It's still warm. It smells nice. Just a sip to start you off. Splash over your palate, your tongue, and the insides of your cheeks. Nourishment. Left to your own devices, you have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman who you recall seeing here those few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. The conversation seems to be casual. A loud, shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man who sells Sophie on the night of her judgment. He's making the rounds, chatting up with patrons. Feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed and plain-looking man standing alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly and realizes you've noticed. Just got a fire call, but... So I'm just listening to the radio. Let's talk to the prince. Pay the respects and then go be devious. You approach the prince, trying to stay as respectful with her private conversation as possible. She glances at you as you step forward. Her scrutinizing gaze moves by her companion. She addresses the dark-skinned woman before turning to you. Excuse me for just a moment, Samara. Yes, Brendo, what is it? Maybe I should not have approached her yet. I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realized it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I wanted to express my sincere appreciation. How thoughtful of you. She takes a long look at you before she continues. I didn't do it from the kindness of my unbeating heart. You are an asset to Miss Langley, to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of the city that is so, and there might just be more to your future nights than just survival and servitude. The dark-skinned woman works impatiently and catches the person's attention. Forgive me, that's all the time I can spare right now. We have some things to discuss with Samir still. Enjoy your night, Brenda. Down. So I just jumped ahead. You notice Sophie mingling with other kindred, clearly in her element, and not to be disturbed. Kadir hasn't come back yet, so you can probably still find some time for at least one conversation. Man that was looking at me. There's something about this guy. It's not that he's staring at you. Most everybody in this room has, at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a secluded spot in the gallery tonight. This guy has an entire corner of the room all to himself. As you approach, he's standing alone with no glass in hand, a worried look on his face. Good evening, Mr. Lawson. Or you can call me Robert. Either's fine. So, do you have a role in this court, or are you just here for the company? Now that's a good question. I'm one of Prince Panhard's Primogen. I'm here on business, in case the prince requires my insight. Usually it's so she can hear me out before ignoring me. Not sure if you were paying attention to the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on whether we should be executed or not, that was me. I was the diverging opinion. Why are you changing your voice and the accent? That's huge. Thank you. Even if it didn't change the prince's mind. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Listen, I don't want to be rude, and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice, stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as Primogen to be some kind of joke, you know. You talk to me, and I'll notice they'll hold it against you. See that a few of the kindred keep shooting curious glances. One woman in particular, a redhead boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly. Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me. I need to try and get a word in with a few Primogen members before Kadir returns. Enjoy your night. Just the critical looks of a few kindred to keep you company. You start thinking about who to pursue next. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everybody's attention. Kadir is back, and none of them is with him. The sheriff pushes his unfortunate victim inside the room. The vampire goes ready to dust with a mess. That stupid hat is still in its on his head, covering some of his red face in darker shadow. He's very cautious. His shin is broken, I think. Something protruding a strange angle. Very little blood suppressing it, but clearly only one part. Well, did I miss a lot? It's Howard. The Midnighters. Active for some time now. But from what this one told me, the name is only legacy. Just kept over the years. Hey, Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know. And the loud crack that some of the guests caught the gasps could be a slap that still hits the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. The swell is able to threaten the other judgment. He's also an anarchist. It's longer than kindred, united by the need for support and sometimes common interest. Make known the one verdict. Final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. Final death is true death, crossing the line from undefinition. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan, like I did Miss Langley a few nights ago. The look of Prince serves you. Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her arm under yours in a strange public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window. Second, make your choice. Focusing your blood, you dash forward and grab Howard by the back of his jumpsuit, pulling him away from the window. You expect some resistance, but find you don't have to worry about it. When a swift cut separates Howard's head from his body, you let go and the headless corpse slumps to the ground. He is standing between you and the window, his sword drawn and an ugly smile on his face. Well, Brenda, your eagerness is laudable, if unnecessary. That Howard fellow can hope to escape his fate, not facing Cadier's expertise. However, I have made note of this show of loyalty on both your and your patron's accounts. I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this matter value to my and Cadier's attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory. Question, then I consider tonight's meeting concluded. Good night to all of you. She steps out of the room, and you see that many of the guests move to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what transpired. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation of your own, too. Kadir Al-Azmai is still here, one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Larson is still moping around, and the other man you noticed before Kadir brought Anak in is still chatting with the remaining attendants. Talk to Kadir. The sheriff's mood seems to have improved, so you decide you won't get a better shot at saying your piece. He is just sheathing his sword when you approach him. He notices you just before his face turns from a melancholic frown back to his regular, predatory smirk. You seem to have caught him in a moment of reflection. What is it, Brenda? I'm not going to say impressive work. He doesn't give a shit about that. I can tell he's not as big a fan of killing as you lets on. Hey, you okay? Did I catch you at a bad time? The smirk is gone. His lips are tight now. his face a mask of professionalism and restraint. I have no idea what you're talking about. This is a night like any other. Still, I have to admit, I was as surprised as the prince when you jumped at the opportunity to stop that Anna from escaping. I was sure Valerie would have beat you to it. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave. Tell me, do you enjoy this, being a sheriff for Prince Panhard? Enjoyment has nothing to do with this, it's my duty. When Calibros asked me to fill the shoes of the sheriff and root out our enemies, I was glad to serve the sect. When Helene became prince and asked that I keep doing this, I agreed, because I believe in the Camarilla, and I respect the fact that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Picks up the sword and turns towards the stairs. If more kindred understood that, my job would be much duller, though. On that note, I wish you a good night. And watch yourself. You've messed up my batting average, so I'll be sure to keep a close eye on you. With that final threat, he leaves the gallery. It's right about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you. Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come, Gregory's waiting downstairs. She seems preoccupied with something and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. This time you arrive at another building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. She brings you upstairs, through a very nice lobby with a luxurious-looking hall, to her domain. Please, have a seat, I'll show you right with you. You take in your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once. And a Nouveau Riche, I think that's how you say it, Nouveau Riche living room, meticulously combined together. Apologies, old habits die hard. Clearly some stick with you even after your death. Ah, smoker. She drags her cigarette and breathes out. Breathes. How is she doing that? Can you do that? Oh yes, you might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you'd like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. That door in the back, the bedroom. Similar to yours. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed your best behavior to uphold my good standing in the court, I meant it. That's not the whole story. I have your interests in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven, why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. You need to trust me or else this won't work. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something, when you're in trouble too, though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I have something to discuss with you. We'll push it. Why not talk right now since we're here together? I still need to follow up on a few things before we speak. Patience, fledgling. That's silence again. There's definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet. I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me, we'll give you a lift. A quick trip. I promise you'll show up tomorrow, and some polite goodbyes later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting, in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into this secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcome change. And rest. And coffee. Ooh. Most reading in a single pane so far. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake up, same as you have these past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door, you look out the window to see, invariably, a sky bereft of sunlight. And then it hits you, the hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night when it's just not there. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have as much chance of kick-starting your own heart with jumper cables. You lock the door behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her. Might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Call Jess? Yeah, right. What would you tell her? If she even picked up at all, she'd probably just use the opportunity to stick some more needles in you. Or worse, persuade you to come back. Or go back to work. Yeah. Who are we kidding? HR probably found a replacement the day you went missing. Nobody there cares if you got kidnapped or turned into a creature of the night. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before, but feeling so disconnected. All these people, you're not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve your own path in this strange new existence, one way or another. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as that thought crosses your mind. A quick word with the security guard and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait, patiently, as the footsteps to the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens, and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue. And she does not look happy. Is everything all right? She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Yes, it is. How kind of you to ask. Tell me, when you look out at the city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. The lights and the rain, the relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as an ambient piece. Other than that, though, it's business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smells. You know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed somehow, but she covers it up with a courteous smile. Well, not everybody can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning even in the mundane. Clan is a bloodline of vampires who share common characteristics passed through the blood from sire to child. The 13 known clans, all of which are reputably founded by members of the third generation. Another one. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of the clan Toreador. Whoa, what the hell? So many Toreador emerge from the ranks of accomplished artists, both new and faded. Not all artists need wield a brush, so the Toreador art encompasses all forms of entertainment and stimulation. The clan of the Rose courts the greatest actors, singers, writers, dancers, and even sex workers, if the degenerates believe such mortals will offer something to their clan. Despite the custom of embracing only the best, the Toreador fixation on beauty and innocence has caused many a diva to make a fledgling in haste. Many a moonlit night, new clan members have emerged as shallow hedonists, one-hit wonders, or just a stunning body with nothing else to offer. Nicknames: divas, harlots, sensates, perverts, hedonists, degenerates. There are 13 such bloodlines, though that number has been contested in the past, and these nights it seems that nothing is certain anymore. The clan have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times, the original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They used these to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness brought about it, inescapable, originating from an original, ancient progenitor. I'm trying to talk way too fast now. Carried from sire to child, which is the progeny, For the Toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either, or most cannot. A blessing on most nights, occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see him as such. Poor Kadir. Breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there is a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might to act playful, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure. I'm going to take a calculator so I can regain myself here. Then there are the Ventrue, known for their pride and proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan and is quite common in our society around the globe. As is. So the Ventrue are usually the princes. While many other clans claim positions of influence in mortal politics and business, no one can rival the Ventrue in the game of pure power and wealth. They have long been the leaders of the Camarilla, holding more positions of power than any other clan, and they are loath to give that up. The Ventrue believe in the strength of tradition and lineage. The embrace is one of their most important rituals, and the choice of child affects the way other members of the clan treat that sire. Ventrue therefore aim to embrace overachievers, politically or financially powerful kind, or those with a talent that sets them apart from the masses. They maintain that they are destined to rule over all kindred, no matter the sacrifices involved. Their detractors call them little lords, orchids, and tyrants. Those who respect Ventrue for keeping the Camarilla together use terms like blue bloods, patricians, and warlords. Fascists. Where the blue bloods think themselves rulers, the Perugia like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper. Clan number 3. Clan Perugia have always embraced from the ranks of those sympathetic to counterculture and revolution. They seek out allies to question normative ideas and recognizing the fire of the oppressed. They gravitate toward the underdog. Common perception place punks, gang members, and maladjusted immigrants rejected by the society that should protect them, and placard-carrying and Molotov-wielding rioters among the bourgeois. While the above is sometimes true, the clan adheres to no single ideology, and their desire for dissent reaches as deep as the fraudster ripping off his own company. The lawyer representing the poor pro bono, the neo-Nazi claiming to be alt-right, and the basement dweller downloading thousands of movies illegally for redistribution on streaming sites. Fledglings embraced to fight and protest are commonly referred to as rebels, punks, or rabble. How very human. We don't discuss the rabble much anymore, not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think that they were philosophers once, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. Do you know what my clan is? No, I can only guess it based on certain aspects of your behavior and tastes. You'll need to come to your own conclusion and seek validation from your clanmates, if you require such a thing. As you'll no doubt learn, some kindred fit these stereotypes more than others. The blood is hard to deny, though there are certainly those who try. But that is perhaps a subject for another time. I invited you here for a reason. There's something I wanted to speak to you about. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes these are called by the prince themselves, or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about our society, but also because it is useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these days. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless. So tell me, are you part of a coterie? Any close allies? I do have those that I trust enough to work with, yes. Not a coterie exactly, though I have joined several of those over the years. Not in over a century, though. You, however, you would do well to meet some of the city's younger kindred and see if you can find a connection. It is an essential experience for one so young. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide, lenses through which to view our kind. They were all members of Camarilla, of course, more or less. Alright then, let's hear it. Who's on the list? Eager to learn about them, I see. Good, I'm glad. Let's start with Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Hermetic mage in 8th century Romania, Tremere was the leader of a cabal of magic users rightfully feared for their obsession with knowledge and power. Unwilling to accept his own mortality, Tremere cast his eyes on the hallowed secret of immortality. In his greed, the mage instigated the most terrifying magical experiments ever conducted, damning himself and his followers to a hell of their own making. Terrified, they died and woke again to an eternity of unlife and hunger. Cut off from their craft, in a mockery of their formal magical rites and rituals, now only fresh blood allows the Tremere to cast their thaumaturgic spells to twist reality. The clan is still organized in an initiatory cult order, recently fractured into a number of competing houses, each claiming to be the rightful heir of Tremere's legacy. They see true power as knowing the ways of shaping the world, having access to the right blood, and owning the rarest of ancient artifacts. They are usually referred to as warlocks, hermetics, or transgressors. You look at Sophie with a hint of disbelief. Blood sorcerers? Pretty sure Mark from QA used to brag about having a level 70 blood sorcerer. Somehow you don't think he meant magical vampires. Sophie snickers. Oh child, don't be caught without look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using vitae, their own as well as others, to unique and potent effects. Should use magical power? Blood. Archaic term for blood. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you to meet might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. From what I hear, he's quite the scholar, very ambitious, the child of a noted Tremere here in New York, Aisling Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Agathon, and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. It is also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Anyway, if you wish to contact young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Now this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeve. The Nosferatu. Ooh. Whoops. Clan of the Hidden are known under many names: hives, lepers, sewer rats, carnies, scabs, warlocks, but a few of them sound pleasant. For the Nosferatu, the embrace is a journey through abjection, as the blood of the horror gradually deforms the struggling tissues of the human body into grotesque abominations. Weeks of pain result in deformities similar to terrible birth defects, cancer growths, crippling injuries, and leper-like sores. Those who endure it find themselves as monstrous echoes of Marna's silver screen vision, but perhaps pain and humiliation teaches compassion. The Nosferatu, as they jokingly call themselves, are the most humane of kindred, wearing their curse on the outside rather than the inside. To blend in, some call on the blood to wear borrowed faces of their victims, or disappear from sight, while others rely on prosthetics and heavy makeup. Interesting. Yeah, what is with the goofy names? I guess they're really big on Blue Oyster Cult. No wonder they make their haven in sewers, abandoned buildings, and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would have learned our existence long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he is no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections that you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo. He has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of the Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The one with the awful furniture. Swedish furniture store? Do you mean IKEA? Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadir, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work the Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with kind murders, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some good towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo in his investigation might be the right thing. My voice is starting to go. It's a rough game for destroying my throat. What have we been going for? An hour and a half almost, okay. She takes a brief pause to look out the window again. Now come the two more exotic proposals. Exotic, as if the blood mage and the vampire detective were business as usual. You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan, in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Nominally, They haven't been part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familial ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Oh, oops. Not going to click that. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. Okay, let's look at this quick. Clan Gangrel are outcasts, wanderers, rogues, and hunters. They make havens in the poorest parts of the city and feel no shame for doing so. They claim few domains as their own, but defer to no prince. If a feral enters the city, the prince will either accept it or have to fight the feral to get them back down. Gangrel embrace from the ranks of survivors and fighters, leaders of prison crews and gangs, explorers, urban and otherwise, and any kind who sees the world as something to traverse instead of something to hide from. They care not for looks or title, but for accomplishment and reputation. They are commonly referred to as wolves, feral, and outcasts, or in more derogatory manner, as animals, strays, and savages. I got the impression contacting vampires who aren't in the Camarilla was frowned upon. You're saying these Gangrel aren't a part of the sect anymore. How does that work? It's not as clear-cut. The Gangrel as a whole have sworn off the Camarilla, but individual kindred of that clan can still hold our ideals. Jezebel was one of them, before she became jaded. Besides, their domain in Prospect Park has been upheld by Prince Panhard for all these years, has it not? We consider them members of the sect, and they have, for the most part, kept to themselves. Perhaps it will take a young kindred such as yourself to make them realize where their loyalties lie. So you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But, speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it is one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She's a Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. Those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to us as unstable. And that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves, and a true test of patience at times. Their insight and intuition are unrivaled amongst kindred. As for Hope specifically, she is said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe. It is called in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. Where did you learn about her exactly? One of my colleagues told me about her. He considers her uniquely talented and tapped into the current fads among kind. Not something I am personally interested in, as I'm sure you know by now. I take his word for it at any rate. Well, I believe that's all of them. I have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent-looking, if not luxurious, ride. Stay safe, Brendo. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in hand, you consider your next move. Alright, so that's the Blood Mage. That is the Malkavian one. Cafe Girl, okay. This is the Nosferatu, and that is the Feral, the Gangrel. So it's middle of the night. Any thoughts on which one we should go to? I have a feeling it's going to limit just how many we can go with, but where should we start? Our character is supposed to be a more rebellious person, just going by like the initial character choice. So I kind of want someone who's not going to be especially linked to the prince, really. At the same time, I feel like hunting not so great vampires would be kind of fun. I'm kind of like between these two, really. Jezebel and D'Angelo. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stopped, taking the familiar bouquet of Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping an eye on the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large, empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine, most likely an office space. And then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo. Use our abilities. Driven by a strange hunch, you open your mouth. You hear yourself talking. The words are not yours. They seem to be coming from the deepest recesses of your memory. A movie you saw as a child. You don't know why, but it seems oddly appropriate. I know what you're thinking. This punk ain't got nothing on me. I'm sitting pretty on a loaded Colt Detective special. 5 in the cylinder, 1 in the chamber, and I only need the 1. As corny as it all sounds, the stranger seems oddly receptive to your tough guy monologue, so you decide to bump it up a notch. Focusing your will to boost your aura, filling the room with your presence. Your voice becomes smooth, oozing with charisma, a regular Sam Spade. You yourself can't help but feel a sense of awe. Hopefully the stranger's sensing it too. But then, there's that nagging feeling. What if there's more to this guy than he lets on? What if he's got me right where he wants me? Maybe I should hear what he has to say. Is that right? Yes, how about we drop the tough guy act and talk like adults? You can always shoot me once we're done. For a few tense seconds, the room grows quiet. So quiet, in fact, you could swear you can actually hear the smoke swirling in the air. Finally, the stranger speaks again. You got a point there, kid. In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described him, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity. But this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to his appearance, his lineage is undeniable. 30 feet away, he can probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. Yeah, I was expecting more, like, creature of the night looking. So what brings you here to my humble office? I'm here about the Red Hook murders. Yeah, that nasty business. What's it got to do with me? Drop the act. I know you work for Kadir Alice Asmai. Now, I don't know why his last name fucks me up so bad. The expression sounds. Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the streets. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Name's D'Angelo. Gin to my friends, so you can call me D'Angelo. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however. I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile. Do you now? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks as good as practiced. A lot in front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Sure, they seem to care. What was the end game? What was their angle? Everybody's got one, even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What the hell, maybe this town finally got to me. He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. Do I have a lighter? Alright. I see how we're gonna do this. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on a cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's just something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, and refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I could use an assistant, someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows? If you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement. What are we waiting for? Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you here into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for? So I guess this is a moment where, do I work for Sophie or... Yeah, I kinda do. Sophie Lang. The first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a clean smile. So you're the one, eh? The fledgling, the Toreador, Dame Spare. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing your name around. Thanks for being up front, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears next to you. Up close, the smell is even more unnerving. Alright, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There's definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off Van Brunt Street into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found them, drained dry, not a single drop of blood in them. Before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the bodies, so I don't know if there were any bite marks. I thought I heard something. So, what can you tell me? So, that was killed recently. Doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera. And you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo, and Nosferatu gives you an expectant look. Third option is definitely not going to make him happy. Graffiti looks like a clue, but like no shit. How come there's no blood? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Is the no blood thing a stupid thing on my end, or is it like actually kind of genius? Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere. Good eye, kid. It's the details that count. Okay, yes, we got it. I'm not an idiot. He's not like, you fucking retard. Why would they leave blood? They're just sucking into a small wound or something. And given that the murder was committed right here, and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that right here, the victim didn't make a sound. Killer was Kindred. Bingo. I knew a Kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly, but not just any Kindred. Take a look at that graffiti. What do you think it means? The blood speaks. Say desperate. It seems desperate. My thoughts exactly. As if someone wanted to get a message across, but was too scared to stick around and write the whole damn book. So we got the abridged version. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say a killer belongs to? Okay. So, this would be the artsy thing. What were options? So, Malkavians, Tremere, or Thin Bloods. Part of me thinks this, because it's all about the blood. The blood speaks, the blood this, the blood that. Then it could be this as well. Who the fuck's called Thin Bloods? I'm gonna say the Mad People. Maybe it's an Malkavian serial killer. They're pretty nuts, right? Nah, kid, the movies can be a bit playful, but there's a method to the madness. It leaves a certain aftertaste. This right here, this just reeks of desperation. See, what the fuck is a Thin Blood, though? I don't know what that is. Blood so dilated they retain many human traits. Thin Bloods are invariably clanless. Survivors of the last decades of pilgrims, prejudice, and ostracization. Their numbers now swell. Their messy street alchemy and ability to pass as human makes them uniquely suited to thrive outside kindred society and make their own fate in the postmodern nights. Thin-blooded can be of any mortal origin and are not affected by their parent clan's curse nor by their preference in the same degree as their sire. In 2009, the Inner Circle and the Camarilla issued an edict that all thin-blooded must be branded or tattooed with the mark of the crescent. Inked by a Tremere tattoo artist or scorched by the sunlight, the brand is irreversible. Spits out the mangled remains of the cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Lars to make this hit. Why him? Gee, kid, I don't know. Because he's just a swell guy to talk to? Or maybe because he's the thin-blood prodigy. So he is a thin-blood. Okay, so we should have gathered that from earlier if we chose the other talk option. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, you joining us, baby? If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward position, and I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness that other Primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is bad as is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself. It's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar, takes a puff, and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile. Alright, kid, let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite a change of scenery. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates a sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It almost seems like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house, a place almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid, we gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rang the Lord gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on Ring Thing. Trust me, I know. Sounds like you two have some history. Sounds about right. That's a story for another time. Right now, let's stick to why we're here. Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it. You take a step back and look around the area. The lit-up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention, his and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. This is not the time. So we could just lie and say, like, yeah, no, we're just business friends, it's all good, I just need to talk to your husband about something, yeah. Small rock at the window seems dumb, to be honest. Seeing no point in beating around the bush, you walk right up to the door and ring the bell. D'Angelo wobbles over behind you in a comical attempt to remain stealthy. What the hell, kid? I mean, there's taking a direct approach, and then there's being a complete fucking idiot. Before you're able to explain yourself, you hear footsteps from inside the house. It sounds like someone is coming down the steps towards the front door. D'Angelo bites his lip and lets out a noise that sounds like a cricket dying of throat cancer. You're guessing it was supposed to be an annoyed grunt. The door swings open and a very unamusing and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck stands before you. You begin to wonder how a guy like that made it on the council this long. Even for a thin blood, he looks extremely unimpressive. The man gives you a puzzled look, then looks at D'Angelo. His face twists into a disgusted frown, like he just smelled a particularly nasty fart. What the fuck, D'Angelo? I know, I can explain. Explain, my ass. This is my home. Do you understand? Home. Where my children sleep. As if on cue, a child's voice can be heard coming from upstairs. That's concerning. Dad? It's okay, Bobby. Daddy's helping someone. You get back to bed now. I'll be right over to tuck you in. Once more, the house grows silent. Larson lets out a sigh and turns back towards you. He is not a happy camper. Get the hell out of my house. Glance over at D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Look, we didn't mean to intrude. All we need is 5 minutes of your time, then we're gone. Larson gives you a tired, frustrated look. Takes a deep breath. Not here. With that, he locks the front door and leads you several steps away from the porch. What did you want? It's about the Red Hook brothers. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit. The Duskthorn's got enough troubles staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched. This is the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching, trying to find a scapegoat. Getting your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. Do you think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it, and you sat in your hands to protect them? Do you think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Deal. Good. Now if you excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink. Something warm in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression, like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap, bullets not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from any old dick. Odd statement. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back toward you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. And now we must rest. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter's been slipped under the door in a cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. The note is short and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There's no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. Do-do-do-do-do-do. It's been a while since you heard from Dion. It's been literally a night. Like, I went to bed. Oh, let's visit this chick, I think. True. Assholes. Baruja. The magic people, Masquerade Gangrel. Yeah, let's go here. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the place you've seen countless times, in broad daylight teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate, into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkept foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's sources fed are a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees, quick but evenly paced, most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. Ooh. I don't think we're starving yet. I think, yeah, let's leave it for now. Let's not piss off the people we're trying to befriend. You head south, delving deeper into the less frequented section of the park. Passing a babbling stream, you make your way into the ravine. Home to some of the oldest trees in the park. It's the place to go when you want to get away from the crowd and enjoy some one-on-one time with nature. And that's during the day. At night, it's bound to be a gangrel's delight. Making your way through the brush, you come across a rocky crevice hidden behind a wildly chain-link fence. You leap over the fence in a single bound, trying to land as quietly as kindredly possible. The crevice looks deep enough for you to think twice about jumping in. Instead, you peer into the darkness below, listening intently. In a split second, the air by the side of your head, swirls like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as 5 finger-shaped razors cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, all right, but he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over, calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. Stay out of it, Tam. I smell them first. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow, but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. You shouldn't have come by here, pretty boy. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamika looks at you expectantly. Alright, boy. Let's see if your bite is as bad as your bark. Clearly taken aback, he looks over at Tamika as if gauging her reaction. Guess I know what the alpha is around here. Barely visible smile creeps up on Tamika's lips. The man's eyes narrow. Although you can't really see it, you could bet the hair on the back of his neck just stood up. Shut your fucking mouth, pretty boy. You should have run when you had the chance. A fierce growl echoes across the valley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging his ear, as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Raoul. I'll handle it from here. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. You want to waste time on this asshole town? Be my guest. Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows. Although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? Straight to the point, huh? I like that. I don't care what you like. Now stop. Quit stalling. If you have something to say, say it. Fair enough. Look, I'm new to this whole vampire thing. I figured it wouldn't hurt to make some friends. People I could count on, and they could count on me. So, you want me to help with something? Because you want to be my friend? That about right? Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound corny, doesn't it? She puts on a veneer of skepticism, but you can tell she's intrigued. Corny's not that, though. I think I'm okay with corny. What I'm not okay with is putting my ass on the line and getting stabbed in the back for my trouble. So why exactly should I trust anything you say? Who the fuck's Jezebel again? Gangrel. Does it mention Jezebel? Would it be worth their while? I don't expect you to. Not yet, anyway. Good, because my trust is earned, not given. Then let me earn it. A few nights of your time, that's all I ask. For a brief moment she stands there, motionless, looking straight into your eyes as if trying to size you up. Finally, she looks away. It looks like she's come to a decision. Just so that we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, you have that earnest look about you, naive almost. I can tell you believe what you're saying. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of, so I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. Okay, I was gonna say, no way that was a whole night. Alright, so we did that one. We're gonna go see the mage. Wait, oh, no. I should have fucking, because that was supposed to be tonight. Damn. You have the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they're infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover anything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there, though. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on blood-type personality theory. A number of religions and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you can even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny, Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the 5 Boroughs. So she is top shit, from my understanding. So every chantry is a regent. Regent is responsible for the tutelage of other Tremere in the domain. While the regent may not teach them personally, she must ensure all Tremere are being educated. The regent's other duties extend to the clan's protection in the domain, and sometimes its representation on the Primogen Council. The chantry is the traditional name for the Tremere headquarters in a city. Okay. You are Brendo, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the word outside the building is only for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? Wait, how do you know who I am? Well, for one, knowing is who's who in this city is one of my duties as High Regent. And more importantly, you've been on the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know. A first under Prince Panhard, and for Sophie to be the one to do it. Curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come back, or come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. Sophie suggested I should meet Agathon. Said he's quite knowledgeable. Did she now? Aisling looks you up and down. Her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. That's new. Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. Yeah, he looks like a character. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? introduce myself. My name is Brendo. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? I could assist you in your work. I can be quite helpful. Knowing I can count on someone to return the favor. Is that right? Yeah, this guy looks like he's ready to just tear me a new one. He seems to consider it, then turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. Then she takes her eyes off you. She addresses Agathon. Do you feel like you need assistance in your task, my child? I'm confident I can do it on my own. He pauses, hesitating for a second. But I do believe it is important to warrant outside help, even if only for a single night. Another brief moment of hesitation. Of course, the details would remain between you and I, sire. Agreed, on all points. I like her, I think. She gives me like a no bullshit kind of feeling. She looks like she's less about the politics. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there is anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. The research sounds pretty important. What is it about? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. It is important to us, and that's all you need to know. These people are in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure, I'll join you. Very well. Gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Brendo, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So, where are we going? Williamsburg. There's a place there that our missing colleague frequented. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York, yet you stick me out specifically. Why me? For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet, and you were on it. I see. Once more he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour to focus. And some space. It'll be up to you to keep the attention away from my room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left, seating at their table. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening, I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. I think we can get in now. We're special clients, if you know what I mean. I don't think I do. Apologies, but it's company policy. No exceptions. Would you like to make a reservation? Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course. Not a problem. Please come right in. You walk in trying to look casual and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow. Lots of old, expensive-looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you chose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon wonders why. Or discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Who's Juno? How about I tell you some other time? He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on that door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes the deep red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach-churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. That's okay. That's interesting. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expect something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably less to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you left to your own devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need. You shoo him away before you can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out, then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once in Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza. Back onto the bridge. You're about to say something, but he beats you to it. You look better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone. but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. So I'm guessing you found what you came for. Sort of, enough to continue the search at any rate. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. Drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through this his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Alright, and with that I'm going to call it, because my voice is fucking shot. Thanks for watching.